How's it, guys? Welcome to this video and thank you for joining me here. As many of you will know by now that we have a new song coming out called Life's a Spark. And we ran I wanted to get some feedback before we did the final release because it's always useful to have external input into, our stuff, because you kind of get very close to it. So we did that, and depending on when you see this video, the song will be released, or I'll put a link below to where you can have a listen to the pre-release version. Pre-release version is not yet mastered or anything like that, and in fact doesn't incorporate many of the suggestions that were given through this process of getting fan feedback. So it's there for you if you want to have a listen before it's released publicly. But I wanted to thank all those guys who participated in the feedback process, and there were some really interesting comments. So I thought, well, it'd be quite cool to review those comments and just give my feedback on them. So I'm kind of giving feedback on the feedback. Of course, the feedback will be completely anonymous, so there's no names and there's no one know who made the comment. But I thought some really cool comments, so I wanted to just respond to them. And you guys might find interesting, having my perspective on what the comments were. So we have here in front of me, I just extracted the comments from the feedback form. Not everyone commented, so there's not too many to get through, but here they are. Okay, so the first comment was more upbeat. I sort of understand what is meant by this, in the sense of most people know Qkumba Zoo through The Child Inside, and obviously that was a pretty upbeat song. Technically I think it was about 126 BPM, beats per minute, and the song is 90 beats per minute, so quite a lot slower. But having said that, I always wanted the song to have a groove and to make your body move, despite the fact that it's actually it's not in the kind of standard house music BPM range. And we actually Keith and myself worked, Keith who helps me who does the mixing for me and helps me on the production side, worked very hard at extracting the groove from the beats, and there's quite a lot of sort of technical stuff that goes into making the song groovy, to be honest. And although the speed isn't up to where The Child Inside was, we still hope to keep the groove going. So I do understand that comment. For this song, it didn't suit what we were trying to do, make it faster. But I'm sure in the future we will still be creating songs that are in the same sort of ballpark as The Child Inside. And having said that, I hope it doesn't disappoint you too much, and I hope you get to enjoy what it is doing, and that it grows on you. Okay. Second comment, I really enjoyed the unique and varying chord progressions, kept my ear engaged musically. I wonder if the singing parts could be a little more varied as well, but not necessary. So thank you. There's two parts to this comment. The song has basically four major parts to it. There's the verse, there's the bridge, the chorus, and then the middle eight. I really appreciate the fact that you recognize the chord progressions, because the bridge is in a completely different key to the rest of the song. When we wrote it, the aim was to use the melody and how we introduced the chord progression to make it interesting, rather than you think about, oh, here's a chord progression. Rather than draw attention to the technicality of what you're doing, but to use that chord progression to really create a different dimension to the song. I wonder if the singing parts could be a little more varied as well, but not necessarily. Okay, so good point. I've used my voice to kind of add hopefully add variety to the singing parts. And since this comment, we did some more recording and brought out some of more the backing tracks, the backing vocals more. And also on the pre-release version, we hadn't finished quite the effects that we were looking for in the lead vocal. So I hope with the final release, the lead vocal, it sits better and kind of has a bit more variety. And on top of it, without drawing attention to themselves, but there is more of my vocal that comes through in the final version. But thanks for that, appreciate it. Okay, so I honestly enjoyed the song overall, but I definitely enjoyed some parts more than others. The musicality is upbeat and fun and makes you want to dance, but some of it felt like it's supposed to be part of another song. Okay, so again, just trying to interpret where you're going with this comment. Like we said, there's the 4 different parts to the song, and hopefully in the final result wove them together that they feel like part of the same song. So on the pre-release version, for instance, or since we read this comment on the pre-release version, we didn't change any of the pieces or the components of the song, but what we did is we tried to blend the components together. So the lead-ins, the lead-outs, the, raising the percussion. So keeping the rhythm going, for instance, while still having a breakdown, or letting the one section bleed over into the next section in a way that they feel more cohesive. So I do understand, and especially the, where you're coming from, especially the middle 8 is like in its own space. And that can be a challenge if it feels like it doesn't belong. But hopefully the final results, you will feel like it actually does belong. Hi, long time fan since the 90s. Thank you. I like the song. I think it could help with a bit of a faster tempo to it, something that could be heard in a club, at least here in the States. Cool, I think it's very similar comment to that one in terms of the speed. Look, I don't think the song or the melody and the actual the songness of it would work at a faster beat. However, I hear what you're saying, and we have asked friends for releases. Some of you would have heard the Defected Sounds of London's previous remixes of our stuff, who we really like. So he's going to have a go at it, and looking for other remixes. So I think the answer to your question is not so much that we're going to speed the song up, but we'd like to get remixes that would work in the club. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, because I think it is important. There is a strong groove to the song, but we focus on the groove in the context of the song, not really in the context of like trying to get this into the clubs. But yeah, good point, and we will be looking at that in our remixes. Okay, Million Chorus is great. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Next comment, somehow both soothing and exciting at the same time. A needed reminder that we are human creatures who need fun, happiness to truly live a full life. We really appreciate the comment. It's like basically, that's the essence of the song. And I showed these comments to Lavana, and she was like very like pleased with with that you kind of got that from what we're doing with the song. Let's go. Needed reminder that we are human creatures who need fun, happiness. Exactly. When the kind of consensus reality becomes crazier and more unhinged, and how do I put it? But ego and international competitiveness and global conflict starts to become so dominant, then we actually really, really need a reminder of who we are in essence as human beings. It doesn't mean that we are either as individuals, I'm talking about Qkumba Zoo, or we as human beings on a kind of global sense, that we just ignore reality or ignore like what's going on around us. And because in fact, ignoring what's going on around us doesn't actually address the issues at all. What we need a reminder of is that underneath all the conflict and the ego stuff is that we're all human, and not just all human, like life itself. Not just human beings, but Gaia and, the planetary kingdom, the oceans. There's an essence to us that we really need to remember, because the only way we're going to address a lot of these big issues is by coming back to the fundamentals of who we are as sparks of life. So thank you. Probably a bigger answer than you were expecting. And again, we need fun, absolutely. So we're human creatures who need fun, yep. Happiness, yep. And, truly live a full life. Now, there's plenty of people living in complex situations at the moment who aren't doing this, but then it becomes incumbent on the rest of us to remind ourselves of this and help create conditions where these fundamental parts of being human become embedded in the world as a whole, and that's it's not just little pockets of us, living or having happiness and fun, but we're all, the whole world, because the only way we're actually truly going to answer many of the global issues is if we are having fun and we are happy. So having fun and happiness to me are driving emotions, and they are also expressions of a world that's working. So thank you for that. Awesome. Feedback here. Though not my preferred genre of music, I just turned 60. Thank you. I found the songs you both to be very uplifting and enlightening in ways. The working got me thinking about all those people who have been displaced from their preferred lifestyle vocation due to COVID. The fighting over TP steered me there initially and set the stage, if you will. But working drove home the notion that if you're not doing what you love, it becomes a tedious chore. So many have been driven from social lifestyles to having to find whatever means possible to earn a paycheck. The psychological impact of COVID has been huge, and your song highlights that. The composition was busy for me. I felt like there were too many overlaying components of different musical styles. However, the result was a quirky playfulness that somehow won over this old school listener from Pink Floyd's Led Zeppelin, Disco Sucks generation. I liked the vocals very much, and I felt that they married nicely with that quirky playfulness of the overall composition. Truly got into the rhythmic percussion intro, but my mind was anticipating more traditional instrumentation to follow. Did I mention I'm freaking old? Anyway, enough writing. I want to listen to it again. Wow, this is an awesome comment. Okay. So though not preferred genre music, I found the songs to be very uplifting and enlightening in ways. Awesome. Thank you. The working got me thinking about all the people who have been displaced from the preferred lifestyle vocation due to COVID, and fighting over TP steered me there initially and set the stage, if you will. Well, it's interesting you say that, because actually the song came out of the whole COVID experience. And we did write the song when the height of the lockdowns happened. This was in 2020. And we recorded it, and I've been working on production of the song in basically my spare time and in Keith's spare time, because I do have a full-time job. So it's taken us a while to get it out there and to bring it to life, and so that we're happy to put out into the world. But your insights are perfect. That's exactly kind of the context from that we wrote the song in. Obviously, since then, there's even more changes and more craziness that's entered into the world. And we hope that, that the underlying message of finding your truth and your place in the world is a universal thing. I strongly believe in placing songs, in a reality or in a context that gives it kind of a body and a meaning, but the meaning of the song is universal. So working, yep. And I think, if I look back at COVID, and one of the realizations that many people made was like, why am I giving my life away to other people? Why am I making corporates, making them profits at the expense of my own health and my own peace of mind? And the whole kind of movement of quietly quitting. I think, I'm not saying we wrote the song for the quietly quitting movement, but in many ways, I think what you're trying to say here is a very similar message to those people who are going like, what the hell am I giving my life away to, for other people? To question that and to go, okay, like, well, what do I want to do? Like, and coming back to this question about fun and happiness. How do I get those things? Because actually, in the end, that's what you take with you to your grave is the experiences you had in life. You can't take your money or your millions or anything. All you take is your experiences. And if you can have fun and happiness in life, I think you've achieved a great thing. So that the context, you really nailed the context within which you wrote the song. Obviously, I think the kind of global conflict that's arisen and still arising since then, I don't know, for me makes the song even more relevant. So, why are we working for to appease not just the corporates, but the egos of politicians and people who want to create a world only in their image and not in the image of what we are as human beings. So I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, so yep, the song we wrote during a period of time of COVID. Fighting over TB stigma initiated stage, cool. Working drove home the notion that if you're not doing what you love, it becomes a tedious chore. Thank you. You just basically said in one sentence what I was trying to say in more than one sentence. So thank you for that. So many have been driven from social lifestyles to having to find whatever means possible to earn a paycheck. Absolutely. And the psychological impact of COVID has been huge in your song Spotlight there. You know, I don't call me a hippie, but you know, fundamentally, I just feel that the way the consensus reality of what we think we need to do in order to earn a living is deeply flawed, and the way the economy is structured is deeply flawed, and the way the expectations of what we need to, who we need to be, and what we need to be doing is deeply flawed. That's flawed, Flawed. So, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, spot on comments here. And you know, the point is not to express the idea that we should just all be sitting around, lazing around, doing nothing. That's the opposite of what you're actually saying. What you are saying is like, what drives you as a human being, and what are you going to do that's in line with that? But very much, you know, do something, you know, participate, be alive in the world and to yourself. Okay, so the composition was busy for me. I felt like there were too many overlying components of different musical styles. We hear you, and basically Keith and I we didn't do fundamental changes, but we went through a process of eliminating some more of the busyness from the song. The first half for me always sat pretty well, and the second half started getting a bit busy. So we've pulled stuff out. We've focused the mix a bit more, and I'm hoping that the end result answers actually some of these comments, because I am guilty of adding stuff, and my big lesson in production is to learn to focus on key elements rather than just add stuff on top of stuff. So we have taken some stuff out, and we have focused some of the elements more, and we balance. So, you know, some things are more at the front at some points and other things at other points. So I don't know. I'm really hoping we've answered some of what, you know, your critique is here. And yeah, because we are going for like a quirky playfulness, good insightful comment. But in order to achieve that, you can't just add stuff. You also need to keep the focus, and that's what I'm hoping we've done since you wrote this comment. We've kept basically the foundations of what we had, so the same components, the same arrangement, but focused that more. Okay. I like the vocals very much. Felt them very nicely, the quirky playfulness of the overall composition. Thank you. Me too, I agree. Truly got into the rhythm percussion intro, but my mind was anticipating traditional instrumentation to follow. Cool. Well, did I mention Freaky Old? You did, but I'm hoping that the kind of initial surprise is what helps to bring you back to listening to it again and again. There are definitely, I think a fair while ago, coming back to an earlier comment about the club, I realized I don't create club music. I like to create music that moves, but I don't create music that specifically fits into a club genre. So a lot of our stuff is pretty eclectic, and I guess I've learned to embrace that. But having said that, there is a challenge in making sure that works. So I'm hoping that since you made this comment and we re-looked at just focusing it more, that we do answer your initial kind of concern here. Yeah, but thank you. Okay, the song is, so moving on. Wait a sec, I want to listen to it again. Great, I hope you keep listening to it. Last comment, the song is great as is. I pray you guys will tour someday. Don't forget us here in the US, people still know your name. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we haven't forgotten, and we haven't forgotten you guys. And, in terms of touring, I'm not saying we will never tour, but I'm also not saying that we planning to do that. I think a lot depends on how, our music, these new songs do, as to how, I might be able to persuade Lavana to do a couple of gigs if we can. But, there's no promises. So, all in all, I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback on the feedback that you gave, and hopefully, to let you know that we paid attention, and we did use it in the last stages of our process to focus the song more and answer some of the challenges that you guys highlighted for us. Guys, thank you again so much for participating. Really, really appreciate it. You guys are the best. And we look forward to interacting with you on our different platforms. And have a good one. Cheers.